series. Today we are going to be focusing on virtual field trips. Okay, let's get disclaimed.
This presentation was produced under U.S. Department of Education contract number GS00F115CA with Synergy Enterprises, Inc. The views expressed herein do not necessarily represent the positions or policies of the U.S. Department of Education. No official endorsement by the U.S. Department of Education of any product, commodity, service, or enterprise mentioned herein is intended or should be inferred.
Okay, we're disclaimed. Aloha, I'm Olani. I am joined here by my team, Sarah and Tracy. Sarah and Tracy are going to be monitoring the chat. So if you have any questions or concerns, even technical issues, maybe you're having the sound's not coming through or the video is stuck, you can also put that in the chat and we'll try to address it. If you have any questions regarding the content, you can go ahead and put it in the chat. Sarah and Tracy should be on and able to answer any questions or let me know the questions that you're putting into the chat. So let's get started. Today, oops, sorry. Where did I go? Okay, there we are. So today's session objectives are to identify high quality virtual field trip resources, also to determine how to effectively use these virtual field trips, and then learn the steps to create your own virtual field trip. There are many different types of field trips. A field trip or excursion is really like a journey by a group of people to a place away from their normal environment. Normally, when we talk about field trips, we're talking about moving students from a classroom out into their communities or environment. Teachers often take the time to learn about the destination and the subject before the trip. Activities that happen on the field trip include lectures, tours, plays, workshops, videos, and demonstrations. In Hawaiian, we call a trip or a research trip a huaka'i. Uh, Ka'i is the word for journey, and hua is the word for fruit. And so it differentiates itself from what we would consider a field trip in that you go to one place over time in that same place in order to create a fruit or an outcome, such as maybe understanding the coastline or knowing how to protect endangered species in the forest. Those are the types of different kinds of trips. Field trips are really used to either launch a new topic, provide additional context for a topic, provide opportunities for hands-on or applied learning experiences. It's a time to get out and try things that you might be learning in the classroom into real life. I know virtually that's been a little hard. Some of you have created uh, boxes to go home that can have the kids do hands-on applied learning experiences at home or even outside in their backyard or environments. They also field trips also provide an opportunity for research and maybe even culminating a learning topic. So after you've learned, about the history of a place, the environment of the place, the environmental conditions, you could actually go there as a culminating trip to a particular learning topic about that place. Also, you can use it to motivate and or reward learners. So maybe they're learning about something historic, something that happened in history, and there is a play going on in your community, and you go to the play. That's normally how it was done prior COVID. Nowadays, now we have to sort of look at how we can use the virtual world to provide those same experiences. Okay, so here is us um, in our annotation. I'm going to make sure you can go ahead and annotate. So again, right here at the top, there should be of your Zoom screen, there should be either a menu bar or at the bottom. You want to look for the little pen marker that says annotate and click on here on the pencil. And then you can have some options. You can either draw or you can put in text. Right now, I'm going to answer this question. Where would you like to take your learners? And I can go ahead and add that in. So why don't you go on this screen, go ahead and annotate where you would like to take your learners, particularly if money was not involved.
And if you're having any trouble
Oh,
locating
Mars, love
that
it.
annotation, for many of you who are viewing on a computer, if you look at the very top of your screen, you'll see a green bar that says you're viewing Olani Lily's screen. And next to it, a little black box that says view options with an arrow. And if you hit that arrow and scroll down, one of the last options says annotate, which should open a toolbar of all those tools that Olani was describing for you.
Thanks, Sarah. Oh, love it. Tokyo, TCUs, the mounds in Southeast US. Love it. Anyone else want to share? Fish camp. That sounds good. Chile. Nice. And I see Patricia shared in the chat that her center has been providing opportunities for virtual college tours. That's amazing. That's good both for the students as well as for your institution to be able to reach out to more people to have a tour of your school. So great. Okay, so I am going to move on to the next slide. If I can. Sorry. Oh, my screen's not moving. Let me stop my share because for some reason my screen's not moving. And I'm going to resume. Okay. Let's see. Sorry about that, guys. I am just having, let's see. I'm going to do it. There we go. Hallelujah. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. I had a little technical difficulty. So here's another question. What would be the learning goal of this field trip? You could again go ahead and annotate on this screen. Some of you said China, the mounds. If you could just sort of share with me what that learning goal connected to that visit would be. Make new friends. China. Let's see. To learn about other indigenous cultures. Nice. Learn about other indigenous cultures. Great. Thank you for sharing. We're going to learn about ancient culture, to learn the history, TCUs, TEKs, representation of teaching staff. Oh yeah, that'd be really nice, right? To be able to take your staff, your teaching staff to different schools and have them visit other schools. Okay, great. Thanks again for sharing. Let's move on. Again, I apologize for that technology glitch. Okay, so we're going to look at some of the best practices as it relates to field trips. So one of them is to make sure that you develop a specific learning goal and to be able to communicate that with students. You also want to plan your pre-trip activities. And so thinking about the content both before, during, and after the trip. The pre-trip activities really help to create interest in the field trip, as well as to determine what questions to answer while on the actual field trip. And even think about as students go out. I know in some virtual field trips and live field trips, teachers sometimes create a scavenger hunt in order to get students to focus in on different maybe environmental phenomena or different learning that they really want them to key in on. And then plan a post-trip activities, a debrief of the experience, engage in follow-up activities or applications of the learning, and then reflect on the entire process. Also, for both the pre and the post, it might be good to think about an assessment, both to measure students' understanding pre the activities and the field trip, as well as post. Be cognizant of the time. So, you really want to think about the age group and the developmental stage of your students and your learners, and make sure that you have the virtual field trip not be too long. Some of them can be rather long. When I was doing my research, they range normally from 20 to 45 minutes. And usually the 45-minute ones are longer. I'm sorry, are longer, but are for older and developmentally appropriate students. Make connections. And so you really want, it's a great opportunity when you go and do virtual field trips to make connections with existing learning as well as across content areas. And so being out of the classroom or out into different spaces, uh, whether it's live or virtual, allows you to blend, geography and culture, language arts, and science, blend different content areas. Okay. So here are some of the virtual field trips I found that are free and are available out there for you to check out and use in your classroom. So let's go to our first one, the Google Earth. Okay, and sharing my screen. So if you have a Google account, and it can be your free, olani@gmail.com kind of account, you normally see this page is your opening page. What you do is you want to go on the top right-hand side, sort of right next to your little icon over here, and click on, they call it a waffle in Google World. Click on this waffle and scroll down. This is where you can see all your apps. Scroll down to Earth. And so this comes with every Google Gmail. There we go. And we click on Google Earth. Now, again, what we're looking at is ready-made field trip. So once you've got that page up, you want to come here. There's these icons on the left-hand side of the Google Earth. This little looks like a ship steering wheel. You want to click here. This is called Voyager. And this will connect you to pre-made content. It's amazing resource. You can look at content in nature, games, layers, street views, culture, travel, and education. You can check out the world's iconic jazz clubs. You can look at nature. The amazing thing with this tool is that you can take students, even if you were in the classroom, you can take students to places that you would normally never be able to see. So let's go and look at, there was one on indigenous languages. I'll go click on culture, and let's go dive into it. Here it is, celebrating indigenous language. So we click here, and we're gonna come out into the big wide world and be able to explore indigenous languages by just clicking on these, what they call keyhole lookup markers. So let's go. Oh, here we go. Let's see Cherokee. So we can click here. Right here we have some information, and we can also listen to an audio. Isn't that amazing? And so we can go all over Shoshone, listen again, get your students can get information and read the information as well as hear a greeting.
Sandandabe, Nanuananiha, United, Nananiha, Alex Alvarez.
Cool, right?
Hadi, so enzenlik, say sozi, kalaset, Sanito Uzi, Violet Gellenbeck. Say what's it was stay. What's it and Habayinta, Wakoz I.
Again, just an amazing tool that if you are teaching a native language or just wanting to look across the world that you can connect your students to. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Well, let's check this one out. Going for lunch. You can see this keyhole marker is just at one place. This one has audio. The way that you can scroll through the different uh, parts of this field trip is by clicking down here in the bottom right-hand corner, these arrows to move forward, and it'll take you to different places, and then different information is posted here. Okay. So again, just some really amazing content that's available here for all different. There's also an education one. Now this is really cool. This you might want to use it or you might not want to use it. But I don't know how many of you participated in a culture-based presentation and got to listen to Dr. Henry Fowler and the way he's integrating culture into math. But this might be a great way to look at math and geometry in nature. And you could just sort of look at some of these and think of them as samples and then go ahead and create your own. And we'll get into that a little later. But again, you could just see all of the amazing content here. Even reading ABCs from space. So this could be a rabbit hole that you could really go down because there's so many amazing tools. So that's Google Earth ready-made content. Sorry. Let's go back. All right. So the next resource of already made virtual field trips is the National Museum of American Indian. I'm sure you folks are very aware of this website, but I wanted to, if you're not, I wanted to share some of the amazing virtual field trips that they have. So let's go check out that website. Okay, so here we are at the National Museum of the American Indian, sorry, Native Knowledge 360. And you put in virtual field trips and their offerings pop up. What is that provides you the grade levels that the field trip is actually for, the minutes, and some information about it. So let's go and learn about Bison One-Stop Shopping. Click here and learn more. Oh, there we go. Okay. So what it does is it gives you, some information about the actual virtual field trip, learning objectives, the grade levels, the subjects. It also provides you with some essential understandings. Again, all information that you could use in your lesson planning. It also gives you some additional information. So if we click on this teaching poster, this really gives you information and resources so that you can do some of the pre-trip and post-trip activities. Here we go. It gives you, again, the grade level, the overview, the lesson objectives. background information so that you can read up and be prepared. More information, again, placing it, just giving you some really good questions to pose. There's preparation, the procedures, discussion questions, as well as extension resources. So if you want to delve more into it, they provide additional resources. Connecting to actual practitioners and hearing their thoughts and discussion questions about that. Handouts and more handouts. So again, a great resource. Let's go back. Also, as a pre-activity, they do provide a video so it can orient your students to what they will be seeing.
The American bison was significant to Native nations because they relied on the American bison for.
Again, just some really amazing resources. So I want to do this for my students. I want them to participate in this. I put together all of my planning. What I want to do now is for these field trips, you actually have to register. And the reason why you have to register is because they really want to get the information about how many students, and how are they going to be receiving the content, whether it is in a classroom and they're on computers, or they are maybe at home and on their own individual computers, or maybe even a hybrid. So they do have those options. So I'm on table and I'm looking down and seeing that a lot of the events are full. This, I don't know what goes on because I'm not in the back of this and haven't been able to actually register because they don't have an actual students or class. But it seems like these field trips get filled up really fast. So right here at the top, there's a subscribe button. I would recommend going ahead and subscribing because so that you can get the most updated information and hopefully be able to get in before everything fills out. Okay, so let's go in and May 12th, hey, that works for me and my class. So I want to look at how do we sign up for this. So I click on the sign up button and let me make sure I'm sharing that and you can see that. Okay, so here is the sign up registration form. So you're going to want to enter the teacher's full name, a confirmation email, confirm field trip from the options below. So we would click on the Bison One-Stop Shopping. Preferred video conferencing platform. So they deliver it via Microsoft Teams or Zoom. In reading through the information, what they do is they send you all of this login information prior to the actual field trip. And additionally, they connect you into this, they call it a pear deck, PEAR deck, which provides content as well. So then also see that you have to put in the number of students. So at the minimum, it's 10, and at the max, it's 45. What grade level are your students? So you want to put in, now you could have one, like you could just select kindergarten, or it might be kindergarten through first grade. So you are able to select multiple grade levels. Where your students will connect from. And so again, here's that question. Is it homeschool or it could be both? And so you want to make sure you are selecting the correct. Also, would you like to schedule a test call? So if this is your first time doing it, I would probably recommend doing a test call. You put in that information. Are there any accommodations for students? You can, right here, you can opt in or opt out of an educational mailing list. You might want to opt in for now and see how it goes and see what kind of information you get. Also, a great piece I like is this email reminder. So you can ask to be sent an email, how many hours or days before the actual actual field trip. Okay, oops, sorry. Let me go back to my screen share. All right, so that is that resource. It has some really amazing things. The other thing is, I know that a lot of museums, Smithsonian, and maybe even some of your local museums are providing a lot of online content. So you might want to check even your local museums. Okay, so we did Google Earth, National Museum of American Indian. Now let's move to Nature Conservancy. So I know a lot of us do a lot of work in the environment. And so I thought that this was an interesting resource. Let's go there. Alrighty, here we go. So this is at the Nature Conservancy, their virtual field trips. And so again, because of the organization, a lot of the field trips are connected to the environment, and not just in America, but across the world. So you just sort of scroll down. They have a lot of information and opportunities around climate change. And then you can scroll here and you can see their offerings of virtual field trips. Let's look at the wild biomes, American rainforests and deserts. So I'm going to click on the download teacher guide. And I'm going to just make sure I'm checking. Yeah, you can see it. Okay. So this is a teacher guide, which is great because it connects you to next generation science standards, gives you a description of the actual field trip, and provides you discussion questions. These are really post questions for after the virtual field trip. It also provides you other related resources. So again, if you want to connect this to other resources that the Nature Conservancy provides, they offer that. And then the standards. So again, a lot of helpful information for teachers. The one thing that's a little different about this website, first of all, it's very professionally made, wonderful filming and video, but they also have an actual like facilitator and scientist. So let's go ahead and watch a little bit of the video so you can kind of get a taste of it.
In Mamaroneck, New York. We're joined by Ms. Burstein's and Ms. Spedafino's fourth grade classes. It's great to have you with us. Okay, let's start our trip and head to the Pacific Northwest, which is the home of a temperate rainforest. A temperate rainforest is a type of a woodland that has a mild climate with heavy rainfall. You can find these types of rainforests all over the world, as you can see in this map.
Very cool, right? So I thought that was cool, and there's all different kinds of resources connected to that. Let me get out of there. The other thing is if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of this page, you can actually see all of the different youth curriculum that the Nature Conservancy provides based on the different age levels. So I know, a lot of our programs deal with the little guys, the middle guys, and the older guys, and then they have these great, if you want to do a school garden. Now, even think about the idea about maybe also, if you're not in school, creating gardens at home. And so this is also a valuable resource for at-home gardens. Okay, so again, a very amazing and free resource that you could build and use for your virtual field trip and enhance the curriculum you're providing already. Now, I know a lot of you also have done a college search and we're doing college visits, but after COVID, that kind of got minimized. The other thing is that normally our ability to do college visits is sort of hampered by the actual budget. And so you maybe not be able to get all your students all the way across the country to visit a university and see what the college campus is like, or to do a college tour. But here's a great tool. So you go to College Search, you visit. and they have virtual tours. Okay, and let's share that page. Okay, so again, this is college search. Oh wait, I'm not sure. You're not seeing my page yet. Hold on one second. There we go. Okay, so this is College Search You Visit. It doesn't have every university and college, but it does have quite a lot. It does provide filters. So if a student is looking for, universities of a particular state, public, private, 2 or 4 year, these are all on the left-hand side of this page. A student can pick rural, suburb, and it will filter out, even looking at tuition, it'll filter out the colleges. And then you can go ahead and visit these college campuses virtually. So let's click on Yale University. Okay, so sometimes the universities provide where a student can select the different spaces that it wants to sort of look at, as it because some campuses are huge, right? As it relates to their interests. And so I know if I was going someplace that I was not familiar with, one of the things I'd like to check out would be where I'd actually be sleeping. And so let's go and check out the Yale Residential College Tour. So this is looking at the residency.
Hi, my name is Liam, and I'm a junior from Hawaii. Welcome to the courtyard of Grace Hopper College, one of Yale's 14 residential colleges. In this segment, I'll give you...
So a lot of the virtual visits now on college campus do have sort of that person talking. It also, many of them have these buttons up here that can connect you to an actual visit, physical visit, to learn more information or actually connect to applying online. And you can scroll through by clicking on this button right here at the right-hand side and go to see all the different sites. And the tour guide will walk the students through, so we can listen a little bit.
In the basement of every college, you will find a student-run snack bar known to generations of Yaleys as the Buttery. The Buttery is a late-night hangout serving subsidized treats to hungry students seeking a study break.
So a lot of really great information that students would want to know. It gives the virtual sort of gives you a feel of what campus life will be like. So let's go out of Yale and let's check out, I don't know, Idaho. Again, these
are you ready to become something greater?
Provide students with opportunity to get a feel for college life that you would actually get as you were going to visit it live.
To have the time of your life.
So really great resource. Even if you are maybe still taking students to actual live college tours, this might be a good place for students to start to see if they really like the environment, if they are really looking for a big school or a small school. Alrighty, let's get back. These are other resources available. I'm just going to leave these on the slide. When we share this presentation, you'll be able to get these links and be able to access them. I know a lot of you have used these in the past. The PBS Native American Heritage Collection has amazing, again, virtual field trips. The National Park Service also is connected to Google Earth. The Smithsonian National Zoo and Conservation Biology Institute, again, a lot of amazing environmental content, as well as Google Arts and Culture. So those are some of the ready-made, ready-to-go packaged virtual field trips that you can access. Where am I? Okay, sorry, my cursor's not working again. Okay, all right. So, yes. Oh, dang it. Okay. So when you're thinking about creating your own virtual field trip, it's a lot like planning a real life field trip. You're going to want to brainstorm, look at your units plan, look at your curriculum, and see what uh, kind of field trip best matches it. Look, you're going to want to brainstorm maybe where you would want to go, and then to begin to research that and what resources are out there available. You're going to want to make sure that you're planning, that you are thinking through the logistics of the trip. Because you're making your own field trip, you're going to want to look at whether you're going to do it pre-filmed or live. And we're going to go through both of those options and how you can do both of those. If both of them require similar but a little bit different planning, you're going to want to make sure that you have the equipment that you need. Additionally, just like in any other field trip, you're going to want to connect your curriculum, connect the students to different places and people and resources out there. Doing a live trip allows students to ask and engage practitioners in real time. And so that's a real benefit of a live trip. A pre-film trip allows you to control some of the conditions by pausing and restarting filming. You also are going to want to prepare just again like you would do a live trip, except you're going to need to be thinking about the technology that you need. And you can do it low cost to almost no cost, utilizing probably some equipment that you have already. You're going to want to think about the weather. Not that it would deter you, but you want to plan for the most optimal weather. But sometimes you can't plan Mother Nature, so you kind of have to go with it. You also want to think about considering recording the event in many different ways, whether it's with still camera shots, video cameras, note taking, audio recording, and other data collection tools. Also, you want to develop questions or think abouts for the live field trip. Those questions and think abouts could be provided to your students so that they would actually be, excuse me, asking the question. And then you want to go out. Sorry, let me back up a little bit. One of the things around preparing, particularly if you're going to do a pre-filmed or live, is maybe going to the actual site and taking a field trip for yourself without, without think and just sort of like seeing the environment, seeing what type of information you'd like to provide and focus in on your students, and sort of actually going through the process yourself in order to be able to help you prepare for it. Going out cold on one time, I would not suggest it, and thinking that you're going to get all the content that you want. I went up to Volcano. We actually went 2 times. One to just sort of test it out and see how it went, and the other was to actually focus in on collecting the filming that we wanted. We looked at sound. We looked at the wind is a factor up there, and how we were going to best prepare for that. And then we went out and we actually did the trip and collected the content that we wanted. You want to build your virtual field trip, including travel guides for users and teachers. Be sure to include an introduction, background information. So again, everything that you had seen in the ready-made content, you would probably want to create. And that really is sort of your pre field trip activities as well as your post field trip activities. And then you want to evaluate, see how it went, ask the students what went, and then maybe next year or your next field trip, you might want to take those lessons learned and apply that to the next field trip. Okay, so let's get into making our own virtual field trip. So we want to, the first one we're going to do is how to utilize Google Earth to create a virtual field trip. Google Earth is amazing and it can create all different kinds of virtual field trips as well as activities. So for example, with virtual field trip, you can not just create, a tour, but you can create a timeline of a person's life and travels. And so if, again, if you look at the ones that I've already made, they do have different people's lives and where they've traveled. So maybe it's someone of importance in your community, maybe it's of your people, and where they originated from and where they were moved to. Just again, a great opportunity. The other thing is you can recreate a trip. So I know a lot of us, when they come back, when students come back from like long breaks, whether it's summer or maybe winter intercession, we always ask, so what did you do on your trip? Well, you might want to, before they leave for school, as a part of their assignment, ask them to document what they did during their break. Now, their trip might be just the trip in their own community. COVID has sort of like hampered our ability to travel all different places. And so maybe it's just in their community. Maybe they're volunteering someplace or they're going to their language class every other day. Or maybe they're just working on their ranch and what are they doing? And sharing, utilizing Google Earth to share that experience. Also develop place-based math. I had talked to you a little bit about looking at some of the content that's already created and seeing how you can apply that actually in your place with math problems. Also within your culture. Design a collaborative class map. So in a school I worked at before, we had our class map the actual fish pond together. And so we had some students working on collecting the temperature of the water. We had some students collecting the salinity of the water, salinity levels. Some students looking at the history and mapping out sort of the way that the fish pond was made. And they came together and put all of that content on a collaborative class map around this one particular area. We also had a student who took our whole coastline and did interviews of cultural practitioners that utilize and elders that utilize those the cultural coastline to tell their stories. And so she brought back those native name places, pinpointing them on the Google Earth map, and then created video and content of, again, the practitioners and the elders. So an amazing resource that you can provide. Also make a where are they now map. And so whether it's maybe taking an elder and where they were and where they came from and mapping out their life's journey, if they want to share, would be, again, a great resource. We're always thinking about our elders as a resource. And so this is a really great way, if they're open to it, to capturing that. And again, that could be an opportunity to have content delivered in your native language. If you look on Google Map, there is not a lot of content that is made by and made for Native people. And so this is an opportunity to really tell our story. So let's go ahead and create our own Google Map. I'm going to switch views. Okay. I'm hoping you can see. I'm just going to make sure. Yeah. Wait. There we go. Okay. All right, so you can see my Google Map. And so I am creating what they call a KML tour. And what KML stands for is keyhole markup lookup. Wait, I think I got that wrong. Keyhole, yeah, keyhole marker lookup. And keyhole is that little sort of like icon um, right here, the little yellow icon right here. That's the keyhole. And so what that does is every place I put that marker, it will be the next step in the actual virtual field trip. And so I have gone ahead and let's go back and we're going to create this from beginning. Sorry, I was playing around. So what I do is we've been to the Voyager. Now we want to come down to this keyhole area and click on projects. And then we want to come here and create a new project. So we click on new project. Now it gives you different ways to create this project. You can create it in Google Drive, but I want to create a KML file. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to title my project. Okay. On Hawaii Island. And I can provide a description. This is a virtual field trip. Oh, not TERP, trip. Okay, now I want to go ahead and do create a feature, new feature. So I'm going to search for a place. And I don't want Waipio Valley. I'm going to look for Haleolono. This is an actual fish pond in my actual community. So I know for you folks, this is probably true as well. What we want to do first is start within our community and then, branch out. But it's not coming up here on my Google map. So I'm going to actually have to go ahead and find it myself. So I'm going to look for another place that is maybe closer. Let's see. Puhi Bay in Hilo is close to Haleolono. We're going to zoom in. Okay. Focus. Okay. Here we go. So now I want to stop it from turning. And I want, so here's my Puhi Bay, but I'm not going to put my marker there. I want to move down to the actual Haleolono. Okay. Add place mark. And I'm going to come right here. And I'm going to go put in Haleolono fish pond. And then I'm going to save. Okay, so there is my marker and I've named that place. Now I want to come here and I want to edit it. So this is where I get an option to put in video and content. So I'm going to click here. Now it connects to, you'll see it. It connects to, I have different ways to get it. I can go through, I can upload it. I can do a Google image search. I can go to YouTube, or maybe if I've gone out to that actual site and created my own video, I can go ahead and load that video into Google Drive and connect the actual video. However, I do know that there is content on YouTube already created. So I'm going to search on YouTube for that. Let me see. Okay. Okay, here we go. So here's all content connected to actual Haleolono as I did a search. I don't see the one I want, but you'll see it later. So all I do is click here. Okay, you know what? Hold on 1 second. That's not exactly. There we go. This is what I want. Okay, so here is Haleolono, and I want to connect to this video because it'll provide more. So you really want to, you're going to want to watch the video. This is all public content, but so you want to make sure that it addresses the actual information you want your students to have. I can also connect in information and add some content here, as well as I can have multiple resources and content that I can add here as well. I can also do, in my Google Drive, I can connect to a worksheet or even terms that I would want them that are associated with this actual space. So again, a great, amazing resource. All right, so I've finished with that marker. Now I want to go ahead and add another one. Let's do a new feature. Add a search. Now this one I want to go, we're going to go outside of our community to YPO Valley. That pops up here. Oh, get a little dizzy. Connect to YPO Valley. And you can see it has some content already. So I'm going to add this to my project by clicking on Add Project and come to Save. All right. So that's how you would build a virtual field trip for your own, on your own, on places that are not already on and content not created, and it's connected directly to what you're teaching in class. So let's go and look at. I did create one. Oh, sorry, not that one. As you can see, I've been playing in this. It's so much fun. And so this is how it works. You can go from one place to the next. So I go present. So this is what the student would see. They would go to this keyhole marker and then listen to the video and see any content that I provided. Again, this is really great because you're actually able to get out there and videotape practitioners in the actual environment.
He was born in this area. And the other name that he...
So that's great. So now if the student wants to move to the next place, they come down to this bottom left-hand corner on the arrow, and we're off to our next local EA. Now, if I was to do this live, it would probably take us about 2 days, maybe 3 days, to visit all the sites with all this content. The other thing is, I've actually been in schools, worked in schools that actually do that, and go around the island and take time at all of these different sites. And there's real power in getting your hands dirty in the actual place. And so I might do this actual virtual field trip as a precursor to the live field trip. So we go to Kona side, to Aimakapa local. And this is some content here. Now this is more sort of older people content. It's a tour with an actual National Service park ranger. And so we can connect to that content. Onto my next site is in one of my favorite places, Honolulu. We're checking out this fish pond. Going in to see video that again was already created. Out into the environment.
In contrast to this darkness of the
Kupuna. It's the sharing.
Listening to elders. In the native language. Again, some really great content. That can connect students in a whole other way.
Keep us going, feed the pig, feed the chicken, feed the food.
Tell me about it.
You gotta go outside there, you gotta do this. We never had.
So again, it not only is about the place, but also they get additional information about the lifestyle. So just again, an amazing resource that you can create your own content on. So that is Google Earth. So if I didn't want to use Google Earth, and maybe I would and wouldn't, but I wanted to create my own virtual field trip. I looked at going to Kilauea. Now this is a film trip. I had to look at the supplies that I need. I use my iPhone. You can use a movie application such as iMovie or a PowerPoint or Google Slide. but we're going like bare bones, low budget. I'm going to use I use my iPhone. I use my, here, let me, so you can see me. I used my earphones from my iPhone, and I'm going to create that Google, sorry, that Google field trip, virtual field trip within Google Slides. Sorry, I'm going to use it in Google Slides. Again, I'm just connecting to my Lenny@Gmail, free Google content. Content. Learning goal is to familiarize learners with the significant areas of Kilauea. I've already gone and scouted out the different areas. I've taken short videos so that I know I can load it back in my computer. If you take one long one, it might have too much information and may take a really long time or be difficult to load it from your phone onto your actual computer. The connections, the content connections are geography and culture. The activities, we're going to be viewing the steam vents, identifying native plants and birds, and then conducting protocol at Halima'uma'u. Oh, I'm sorry. So let me finish my, get here. New share. Okay. So because I'm using Google, I have uploaded my short videos onto my Google Drive. And I made a folder called Virtual Field Trip. And then I went to, I'm going to utilize Google Slides. And the reason why I'm saying Google Slides, you know, we're doing low cost is because sometimes you might have to actually pay for PowerPoint. PowerPoint is definitely a much easier, I think it's easy format, but if you can't afford, you can just use Google Slides. It's fantastic as well. So I've uploaded, and now I'm gone to Google Slides, and I started to upload my content. So for every short film area, I have created, I've uploaded the film to it. Now this does on Google take a little bit to load. So you want to make sure you're loading this, running it, and letting it process the actual film. So I'm doing the Kilauea virtual field trip, sorry. You know, I can add in content here. I can also connect this to Google Classroom. And here is the first slide. Normally when Hawaiians, Native Hawaiians, or practitioners come up to Halima'uma'u, they usually come and offer a oli or a chant. The chant usually is kind of like a doorbell to the environment, letting us know that we're here, that we'd like to. So I've loaded up different short videos in the order. What I did find was helpful is to, in my Google Drive, to organize it in the order so I could just sort of go ahead and insert it in. So I want to show you how to actually insert a video. So I'm going to go to this empty slide, come up to insert, click on I want to insert a video, and I'm going to go directly, there we go, directly to the actual content. Click here and then select, and it will start to load up. If you can see on this right-hand side, it's loading. It's going to take to process. Yesterday, it took about 10 minutes to process. So you really want to make sure you have time. The more video you're including, you want to make sure, again, that everything's there and usable. U.S. Geological Survey's Hawaiian Observatory scientists collect gas samples to measure the quantity and chemical composition. Okay, so that is one way, a very easy way to actually do a virtual field trip for low cost or no cost, and utilizing the equipment you already have. Alrighty, so let's go. I'm gonna reshare, come back here. So those were our pre-filmed versions. And so now I'm going to attempt to do a live trip utilizing virtual uh, Zoom. So we're going to be meeting in a couple of minutes. Lauhala Weaver, he's a cultural practitioner. The supplies I'm using is an iPhone, and I'm utilizing this Zoom meeting platform. So you folks will all be on my virtual field trip. The learning goal is just to get a brief, understanding and just to sort of see Lauhala weaving and the beginning process, as well as just to sort of see how a live trip feels. We're going to be making cultural connections as well as actually, because he's talking to you folks, he won't be utilizing the native language because I want to open it up to if you have any questions, um, because that is really one of the benefits of a live field trip. And the activities are that learners, if this was with students, learners will listen and ask questions of the cultural weaver online. So let's try this out. So if the if Kelly could unmute and put on his video, let's see if this works. Okay, now you're gonna have to turn the video over because I'm seeing you sideways. There we go. Mahalo. Okay, so there is our person. I'm gonna go out there. You're live.
Aloha, my name is Kml, and I'm a Lauhala weaver here in Hilo, Hawaii. I weave with a product that is located down at the shoreline. It's a product that is used throughout the South Pacific, and it grows along the shoreline. And because of that, the salt air, the ocean air, provides a nice waxy and pliable product for weaving. In ancient Hawaii, it was used for mats to lie on, to sleep on, to sit on, used to make large baskets to carry items. But today I'm trying to bring the ancient materials into the classroom and to show students how we can actually create pouches and bags and purses and composition book covers, Algebra 1 book covers for their homework and their tablets, cell phone covers for their cell phones, and just try to make them realize that the product is still useful today in the 21st century.
So, Uncle Kelly, what are you doing now?
So what I'm doing now is I'm taking a raw leaf that I harvested yesterday, and I'm actually preparing it for stripping and to actually process it into a pliable material, a useful material for making things. So what I normally do, I will gather 20 to 50 leaves. I will bring them home and prepare them into a device like this, and it allows me to keep the lauhala for many months until I'm ready to weave.
Okay, so let's check if our participants have any questions. So any of you on the Zoom, if you want to ask a question of our practitioner, you can go ahead. I'll be checking. You can go ahead and put it in the chat. We're waiting a little bit. As we're waiting for any questions, Kelly, can you, sorry. Oh, okay, so we have a question, thank you. How did you learn how to weave?
Well, I was one of those students that needed hands-on action in the classroom. So I learned in college, and that was about 30 years ago, and I've been playing with the product ever since, and I've brought it into my classrooms and utilize it teaching math, use it to teach art, even music and chants and songs that relate to lauhala and weaving.
Awesome. I think we have one more question. Sorry, check my chat. Okay. So there's a question, do the leaves dry up?
The leaves here in Hawaii do well because of the moisture content in our air. So they last quite a while. I have bags that are probably 20 years old, 25 years old. The bags can range from backpack size, duffel bag size to small items like cell phone covers and things like that. If I were to send a product to the mainland, somewhere like in Texas or Arizona, it would probably be too dry of an area. You would have to moisten the leaf by maybe keeping it oiled. I take my product to the ocean sometimes and dip them in the water in case there are small bugs that are eating the leaf product.
Awesome. Thank you, Uncle Kelly, for sharing your practice with us. And thank you for your time. So now, yeah, mahalo. Okay. So it's really great to have students actually to be able to see a cultural practitioner. If it was a Hawaiian language class, he would have been doing it in Hawaiian and going through the entire process and be able to ask and answer questions. So a great opportunity.
And Olani, Spencer had asked, are the students receptive to learning the weaving? Is that something that they are pretty excited to be learning?
Yes, they actually love it. And they love this. What he's showing, I mean, of course, there's a small process, but normally they're involved in the entire process. So they go and they pick it and then they prepare it. There's a lot of preparation. And then they actually get to make something. And that something goes to someone else, or it's actually used in an actual a functional tool. So yeah, they do love it. Thanks for that question, Spencer. So you can think about, your own culture and, the resources you have within your community and create these amazing learning opportunities and virtual field trips. So we're rounding up, and so I want to kind of like ask a question of you folks, if you could share in the chat, what field trip will you be developing next, and share the location and learning goal of that actual field trip. And maybe even if you think you might be wanting to make your own field trip. Were there any questions as I kind of wait for people's responses? No. Okay.
We don't have any just yet. Laura's asking if they can be unmuted. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Let me fix that on our end.
Oh, great. Native plant garden. Yes, I love that idea.
All right, Laura, you should be free to unmute.
Fantastic. The idea that I thought of on this virtual field trip is actually we need to develop a cultural competency training for teachers. And it'd be great to be able to have local cultural bearers and the students put together something like this so that teachers who are coming to Alaska for the first time could actually get sort of a more immersive experience as opposed to just reading a bunch of texts.
That's a great idea. I mean, be it part of your teacher orientation package.
Yeah, yeah.
That's Amazing. I love it. And the other thing is that, I know Alaska is so huge, right? And there's all different kinds of all the languages and the people, and that they could actually maybe go to those places and see the differences. I mean, so much richness in the Native community. I think that's a wonderful idea. Awesome. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Okay, so talking about sharing, we have this distance learning Padlet. I've touched on a couple of tools, in all of our distance learning, we touch on a couple of tools. If there's anyone that you want to go in deeper about or understand, or maybe even work on, like Google Earth, getting to understand all the different ways that you could use it, you can go ahead and put that request in this distance learning Padlet. Or maybe it's just something that's not even up there that you'd kind of like to look in as it relates to online learning and distance learning. The other thing is, if you're creating these amazing tools, maybe with Google Earth or with other tools, you can actually use the Padlet to share those products if you'd be willing, again, to just create more and more learning within our communities. So I think Sarah's putting up the link to that Padlet, or we might have done that already. So I've already asked questions. If there's any other questions, you can let me know, but we're nearing the end of our time. Awesome. Cool. So I hope this webinar was beneficial. There is going to be a short 2-question poll popping up in just a second. If you could take that poll and let me know if this was beneficial. Also, you will be getting a link to a survey that really provides us some really valuable information that we use. So it's not for naught for doing the survey. We use it to make our sessions with you, better and better. We want to continually improve and be able to provide you the information you're looking for and want. We feel like we're partners in your success. And so let us help you by sharing how we can get better. Here's some of our events that are coming up. On May 4th, we have another distance learning session on games and more. That's going to be fabulous. I can't wait for that. I'm going to learn a lot on that one for sure. And then on May 18th, we're going to do a student engagement. So, we've kind of touched on different tools throughout this session around student engagement. We're going to look at some other tools that aren't used that can be fun and innovative for your students to make sure that they're engaged in learning. And then, oopsie, sorry. Here's our next schedule of events. You see the OIE office hours on April 29th. The Now Talking Circle is on April 29th as well. STEP, your APR webinar, is May 5th. Okay, ring, ring, it's bell time. It's APR is coming. Make sure, please, that if you haven't done so already, log into your G5. Go check it out. Get familiar with it. You don't want to wait to the end to be stressing out about G5. Your STEP Talking Circle is on May 12th, and your Demo Talking Circle is on May 13th. Here's our contact information, the contact information for your program people at OIE. And then if you have any questions regarding technical assistance, or maybe you have an idea that you'd like to share, you can go ahead and contact your program person or OIE. Where did I go? Stop share. Okay. Alrighty. There we go. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I'm Oleni with the OIE Technical Assistance Team. Have a wonderful and beautiful day. Aloha.